I think we all know just how customizable Roblox avatars are. From avatars like this, to this, to this, to something as complex as whatever this is, or as simple as a bacon hair. There's a lot of possibilities. But just how many are there? There seems to be a literal infinite amount of avatars that can be created, but that's not exactly the case, as we should know. So how many avatars can exist? That's what I plan on answering today. So let's begin. I think we should start with the 2D accessories, as those are actually the easiest things to get out of the way, allegedly. Okay, actually, it involves a slight bit of the world's most basic calculus that anybody has ever seen. There's 3 main accessories, those being shirts, pants, and t-shirts. Let's start with shirts. So shirts are made with this file right here, and it has 18 sections, each with different lengths, labeled here 1 through 18. Now watch what I'm going to do to this file. Now, each 128 by 128 section is highlighted, so we have 7 distinct 128 by 128 sections, as you can see here. Now, to get the amount of total pixels in each shirt file, you multiply 128 by itself, then multiply it by 7. This gives you a total of 114,688 pixels. Now, this is where you have your first real big number. So, we need to get the amount of colors for shirts now, and we do this by multiplying 256 by itself 3 times, or 256 times 256 times 256, because there's 256 color options for red, green, and blue. That is where RGB values come from, actually. So with this, we get 16,777,216, and multiply by 114,688, you get 1,924,145,348,608 options. Now we need one more thing, transparency. So transparency with the current PNG format, PNG32, has 256 options, meaning we now need to multiply this number by 256, which gives us a total of 492,581,209,243,648 options for shirts, plus 1 for no shirt at all. Because pants also exist and have the exact same file, we can just square this number to get 242 octillion, 636 septillion, 247 sextillion, 699 quintillion, 935 quadrillion, 519 trillion, 42 billion, 646 million, 835,201 options. Yes, seriously. 242.626 octillion already seems like a lot, right? Well, now wait until we get to t-shirts. So with t-shirts, I had to do a bit of estimating on the maximum size for a t-shirt file. For this, I set it at 1024 because realistically there's not really a reason to go much higher. It's a nice power of 2, and from what I can tell, it's suggested as a decent size for a t-shirt really anyway. So is 512, but it is not the maximum, so I'm just going to do the biggest one, as you should probably know. So how do I even calculate any of this? Well, we need to dip into calculus a little bit to calculate it. What I did was, okay, so actually start with 1 pixel, just 1 single pixel. Now add this to a 2 by 1, so you get 3. Now add that to a 2 by 2, and you get 7. We now have a 1 by 1 plus 2 by 3 if you break it down. Now you add 3 by 1, 3 by 2, and 3 by 3, which is 3 plus 6 plus 9, otherwise known as 3 times 6. Some of you may have already noticed a pattern here, but just in case you didn't, here it is. 1 is multiplied by, well, 1. 2 is multiplied by 1 plus 2. 3 is multiplied by 1 plus 2 plus 3. 4 is multiplied by 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, and so on and so forth up to 1024 being multiplied by 1 plus 2 plus 3, so on and so forth to 1024. This can be expressed like this, or even more shorthanded like this. Yes, I know this looks really fucking scary, but it's actually really simple. All it is a factorial, but for addition. And just in case you don't know what that is, let's say you have 3 factorial. That's 1 times 2 times 3. 4 factorial is 1 times 2 times 3 times 4, and so on and so forth. Imagine that, but you add it instead. All this is saying is you start at n equals 1 and you add that to nothing. Then you have n of 2, where you add 2 to the 1 you just got. At n of 3, you add 3 to the 1 plus 2, and so on and so forth up to 1024, where you get 524,800. Funnily enough, all you need to do to get the total amount of options of all the t-shirts is literally just square this amount, because all the numbers end up as triangles as shown here, which somehow add together, which you can express like this. I don't know why this works, I just know it does because I verified it with like 2 other ways. This gives 275,415,040,000 total. Now you multiply this by 16,777,216, then 256 for transparency, which gives a total of 1,6,182,898,589,629,626,531,531,840,000 t-shirts alone. Now, if you multiply that by the pants and shirts, which I said before was around 242.626 octillion, you get, drumroll please, and this is going to take a little bit, 287 quindecillion, 14 quatorticillion, 75 tridecillion, 196 duodecillion, 527 undecillion, 555 decillion, 588 nonillion, 665 octillion, 940 septillion, 811 sextillion, 722 quintillion, 991 quadrillion, 517 trillion, 659 billion, 299,840,000 options for 2D accessories alone. Fuck, dude, this is already getting mildly insane, and things are about to get even more insane once we introduce accessories. So, this is why. Very recently, Roblox introduced an update to where you're able to rotate head accessories by various amounts on all axes, and then move them on all axes as well. This alone means you can rotate each item by about 90 degrees on each axis in 1 degree increments, giving you 729,000 possible orientations of that alone, because there are 3 axes. 90 cubed is 729,000. Now with the position, you can move it by 0.01 suds or so per increment, giving you 100 possible positions per each axis, or 1 million possible positions. So with this alone, you have 729 billion combinations. As for the number of accessories, I managed to find literally 0 data on pretty much everything. No articles, no fandom shit, nothing. So for the remainder of this video, apart from the stuff I can actually count, I'm going to take a relatively conservative estimate for all of this, starting with the number of accessories instead. To do this, I took the number of Roblox accounts, which is roughly 7.6 billion, then I estimated that roughly 0.04% of users, or around 3.04 million, actually make accessories at all, which I chose because it seemed about right given how little I see new people make stuff on the catalog, along with because I think 3 million people making stuff seems about right, considering just how much of the accounts that exist are bots or children that have no idea how to make stuff. So yeah, given that, I'm assuming that each person also averages 5 items because of groups and whatnot, essentially making the same thing but like a different texture, like all the pride cones or different versions of the same item like this and stuff like that. Based on these conservative estimates, there's about 15.2 million accessories of each type on the catalog. You would probably assume that you just multiply this along with the 729 billion number from earlier for a total of a measly 11.0808 quintillion. But in reality, it's far more than that because of one thing. You can wear 3 head accessories at once. Yeah. To calculate this, we need to use something called the choose function. What this does is you say, let's say you have a group of 5 avatars. How many ways can you randomly pick 2 of them? That's what this function does, and it's calculated like this. In this case, the answer here is 10, by the way. So what we need to do is take 15.2 million and choose 3 random accessories from it, which gives us a total of 585 quintillion, 301 quadrillion, 217 trillion, 813 billion, 338 million, 400,000 ways to choose 3 of the accessories. Now we need to multiply this by all the crap we calculated earlier, which gives us a total of, get this, 6 duodecillion, 485 undecillion, 605 decillions, 734 nonillion, 346 octillion, 40 septillion, 142 sextillion, 720 quintillion total ways to wear head accessories. As for other stuff, you're only allowed to wear 1 of the accessory type, and you can't do any moving around with the position or rotation, so there's only 15.2 million options for those. However, there are only 6 of those categories, so we need to take this number to the power of 6, then multiply that with 6 duodecillion. First off, 15.2 million to the power of 6 is already 12.3327954288864 times 10 to the 48. That's 12.332 quindecillion. So now, this multiplied by 287 quindecillion is 79.98564,875 times 10 to the 82. otherwise known as 79.9856 sexvigintillion total combinations of 2D accessories. Combined with the number of 2D clothes, we already have not just one Google combinations, but 2.2957007 times 10 to the 133, or 22.957007 trace quadrigintillion avatars. For reference, one Google is only 10 duotrigintillion. Finally, all we need is the gears, because those count, I suppose. I checked, and it said there were only 2,269 in the catalog, so we multiply 22.957 trace quadrigintillion by that to get the final total thus far of 5.208944889686665 times 10 to the 136, or 52.08944889 quator quadrigintillion total avatars. And we aren't even remotely close to finished yet. Part 3. This is actually the first time in a video where I can, get this, actually count stuff. Yay! So let's start with the things that I can do first. First up, avatar scaling. On Roblox, if you want to have R15 enabled, you can scale your avatar in 4 separate ways, with each option having, in order, 4, 6, 2, and 20 options. So all we do is multiply these together for 960 total proportion options. Well, actually 19,200, as there's also a body type option with 20 more options. After this, we have faces and skin tones. Let's start with skin tones, as that will be really easy to explain. So in Roblox's avatar customizer, there are a total of 25 skin tones to choose from. Or you may think. In reality, there's an advanced tab which allows you to choose from 75 skin tones. But that's still not all, because you can actually choose all 75 of those skin tones for each of the 6 body parts. So you have 75 multiplied by itself 6 times, or 75 to the power of 6, which gives you 177,978,515,625 options for skin tones alone. Multiplied by proportions gives you a total of 3,417,187,500,000,000 options for this category. Now for faces. So faces are actually just a 128 by 128 texture, so you can just use the same calculations as we did for classic shirts. Multiply 128 by itself, and then still, because there's 16,777,216 color values, along with 256 transparency values, as I said before, you just multiply that by those 2 numbers. This gives us a total of 70,368,744,177,664 faces. Now for the more speculative stuff. For hair, I'm assuming that it's the most uploaded accessory due to just how many hairs actually seem to exist in the catalog, along with how old they are. They came out in 2007. So I'm assuming that 0.02% of accounts have made them at an average of 5 times, because groups also exist, as we are accounting for that. This means that there are about 7.6 million hairs on the catalog. As for other body parts and bundles and whatnot, there are far less of those, partly because people just make them less, and also because they've been out for not that long overall. So I'm guessing about 0.002% of accounts have made each body part in a bundle or something, which means there has been about 152,000 of each of the 5 body parts that aren't heads on the catalog. This means we take 152,000 to the power of 5. So there's a total of 81 septillion, 136 sextillion, 812 quintillion, 32 quadrillion combinations of those alone. So all of this combined, what we have so far from previous sections, we get 148.2791683,687 novemdecillion options. Multiplied by 7 for the amount of heads gives us a section total of 1.037954178580889 vigintillion, or 10 to the 63 options for this section alone. This means that the total amount of avatar combinations are, wait for it, 54.06646114247 quator sexagintillion avatars, which is this number right here, and we still have 2 sections to go. Okay, this was by far the easiest thing to calculate because we are once again back to counting stuff. As it turns out, there really isn't a whole lot in this category, with there only being 22 animations for your character and 179 emotes total. Yeah. You can also have 8 emotes equipped at the same time, so we just need to do 179 choose 8 just like we did with 15.2 million choose 3 earlier. Throwing this into Wolfram Alpha gives us a total of 22,304,900,540,890 options for that. This, combined with the 22 to the power of 7 animations, one for each limb, gives us 2,494,357,888 times 22.3 trillion options for a total of 55 sextillion, 636 quintillion, 404 quadrillion, 605 trillion, 224 billion, 438 million, 40,320 options in this section. Yeah. And this is it. This is the final section to cover. So as 3D clothing is relatively new and really hard to model and whatnot, it's getting the lowest percentage of all the categories with a whopping 0.001% of accounts having made them, or only 76,000 accounts on the entire website is my estimate. Yes, it's probably too conservative as of an estimate. No, I do not care. So following that, I'm assuming 5 items are made in each category, as most things are on here, minus 3D heads, which I'm guessing only 1 has been made on each account, because realistically, how the fuck do you make more than 100,000 unique heads? All we need to do here is take 0.001%, multiply that by 7.6 billion, then multiply that by 5 for each category, getting 380,000 items on the catalog. Now, because there are 9 of those, we need to take 380,000 to the power of 9, which gives us a total of 165.216.101.262 quindecillion combinations alone. Now we need to multiply that by 76,000 because of 3D heads, which gives us a final total for this section of 12.55642369,597 septendecillion items in this section, which then combined with the total from all other sections and accounting for the discrepancies from earlier, makes the final total number of avatars a grand total of 6.188321981567930 times 10 to the 281, otherwise known as 61.8321981567930 duononagintillion. And this is only for R15, meaning we still need to consider R6. So leave that aside for a second. Take this number, divide by this 12.556 septendecillion because R6 doesn't use R15 animations, then again by the amount of emotes and animations, then by 19,200 as R6 doesn't scale how R15 does, for a total of 9.59653936829945 to 10 to 177 R6 avatars, otherwise known as 9.595653936829945 octoquinquagintillion. Adding these two together gives us the true final answer of how many avatars can exist, of 61 duononagintillion, 883 ononagintillion, 219 nonagintillion, 815 novemoctagintillion, 679 octooctagintillion, 300 septoctagintillion, 820 quinoctagintillion, 9 octoquinquagintillion, 595 septenquinquagintillion, 653 sexquinquagintillion, 936 quinquagintillion, 829 quattorquinquagintillion, 450 trace quinquagintillion. A real number, but it's still absolutely fucking massive. Just as a comparison, to get this number, imagine you had a universe. Each one of these contains 10 to the 80 atoms. Now, put 10 to 80 atoms in each of those atoms. Then do it once more, and then put another 1 decillion atoms in each of those third layer atoms. That is how massive this number is. In fact, I'm not even sure I can make any other real comparisons apart from how this number still fits within the realm of double floating point precision, which caps out at 1.79769 times 10 to the 308, or 179.769 uncentillion. That's it. Anyways, that's how many avatars can exist. Thanks for watching. Oh, by the way, just before you go, I would like to point out that this number is a conservative estimate for the amount of avatars. So it might be a lot higher than what I put in this video. Also, because I want to bring it back, here's a little bit of fan art people made me. Oh, also, if you liked the video and whatnot, liking and something would be nice. you would do that, that'd be pretty nice if you like the stuff. If you don't like it, then why did you watch 20 minutes of this? Okay, see ya.